Hello, everyone. I'm Darlene Young from Arlington, and I'd like to welcome you to another program in our series that appears here on CAT TV monthly on Channel 15. The title of the show is Mindful Health Alternatives, and today's program is on the art of meditation. You'll meet our practitioners today, Dr. John Hurst, along with Dr. Maxine or Maggie Bernstein, Randy Anselmo, Jane Schaefer, and a couple more of their friends who they'll introduce to you. They will be discussing the art of meditation and give you some tips on how to meditate. They also have a program at the Bennington Library on Tuesday evenings, so you can check with the library for more information on that if you'd like to get involved with the group. Just a reminder to you that the goal of the series is to introduce you to a more healthy and less stressful lifestyle through several different methods. Invitations have been extended to several practitioners of holistic or alternative health. This past month, we've seen Renee Tasson, who's a nutritionist and cleansing coach from the North Adams, Massachusetts area, share with us different topics and ideas on nutrition. Renee's program was so well received, she is going to be doing a monthly show here on CAT TV as well from now on. Also have extended invitations to Leslie Nace, who is a shaman, to Anne Harlan on her Reiki. Also, we have herbal and Chinese medicine and acupuncture. We have extended invitations to a hypnotherapist to come in and talk to us, a chiropractor, also to a reflexologist. And there's just a lot of different ideas going on, so hopefully we'll be able to cover all of these and even more. So sit back, relax, no pun intended, and enjoy the show today. I'd like to thank you all again for tuning in and for all of your positive comments. If you have any questions, you can contact me here at CAT TV at 802-442-8868 or email me, Darlene at catamountaccess.com. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm John Hurst, and I am privileged to be one of 6 teachers who have been offering a meditation class at the Bennington Free Library since September. We've been meeting weekly on Tuesdays from 7 to 8 and have been overwhelmed and really happy about the number of people coming to the class. And recently we were asked to share about that experience for people who haven't been to the library so far on CAT TV. So I thought we'd start by introducing the 6 of us and talking a little bit about why we meditate and why we agreed to teach. Most of us have been meditation students for a very long time ourselves, and so I think for me personally, having done this for over 35 years, I feel that it's just such an important part of my own life and has been very helpful, and wanted to share that practice. And it did feel like, since I've had several really great teachers, that if I could pass on even a little of what I had learned, that would be a gift. So, Randy, what would you say about your past experience with meditation and why you came?
I became interested in it mainly out of my profession as a doctor. It always interested me that just about any problem that patients brought to me in some way or another was related to stress and to suffering, whether it was because of the problem itself or whether the stress caused the problem. And so that's sort of set me off on the road to finding out how to deal with the difference between pain and suffering and how to help my patients. And I came across the work of Jon Kabat-Zinn, who has developed probably the most widely used medical stress reduction program. And it's really difficult in a short visit in a doctor's office to impart something to people that's actually useful to them. I can tell them, yes, go home and live your life and don't be so stressed out. But in the busyness of an office practice, it's difficult to give somebody something that's really useful. And so I got very interested in Kabat-Zinn's program and began teaching that to medical patients and to college students to help them manage stress, to help reduce their suffering. I felt like that was part of my duty as a physician, to help people in that way.
Thanks. That's Randy Anselmo. Jane Schaefer,
Yeah, I'm
tell us.
Jane Schaefer. Currently, I'm a yoga teacher and I own a yoga studio in Bennington. I came to meditation out of a personal crisis of just despair and despond. At the time, I was working as a psychologist and I couldn't psychologize my personal self out of it. And a friend of mine took me to meditation and I sat for 20 minutes silently, and it was a revelation to me. I came out of that experience thrilled that I had been still, my mind had stilled, and so I continued on with meditating. I went to retreats, and as I've had about 30 years now of practicing off and on, and I'll talk a little bit more about meditation later, I think. So I'm just glad to be here and glad to be able to participate in passing along something that's been so useful and helpful to me in my life.
Maggie.
I'm Maggie Bernstein, and I've been meditating, like John and Jane, for better than 30 years, going on 40. I came to meditation out of great personal suffering at the same time that I was running a solo psychotherapy practice. I needed to get myself into a better shape. Meditation grabbed me right away because my mind quieted down. And I've always been very proud of my active, busy, thinking mind. But I became aware that it was like a stampeding elephant, absolutely controlling what I was feeling and thinking. I've been so grateful to my teachers and for the years of my own practice that I want to share it with everybody.
So I'm Natasha Judson, and I've been meditating for about 25 years. I'm the spring chicken of this group. It's a tremendous honor for me to be with all of you, and it's really only because of John's invitation, and we spent some time this summer practicing with each other, and that was encouraging for me to have that opportunity, because although I'm a yoga teacher now and do that full time and have for 10 years, I'm not formally trained as a meditation teacher. So this was wonderful to embark on a new direction to more formally share what's been really important to me for a long time. My meditation and yoga practice, I think I heard about the ideas of finding peace and finding some relief from the challenges and sufferings of life. And it sounded like a great idea, and I really didn't experience that until I did go on a meditation retreat. And it was really there that I said, oh, this is it. And something happened here. And for many years I would go annually for a longer retreat, about 10 days or so. And it was really, the retreat itself, I have to say, was not fun at all, a lot of times, but driving home afterwards, I could sense that something had shifted, that there was some way I was thinking about my life differently or experiencing my life differently. And so I could say almost after the fact, oh, that was really good. Something really benefited me in that process. So I was a high school teacher for 9 years, and some of you actually here in Bennington may know me from that context, where I taught at Mount Anthony for 7 years. And as many of you know, teaching is stressful and challenging, and so I had neck pain and back pain and all these kind of stress-related things. And so my yoga practice and my meditation practice were ways that I could really address that. And I discovered at one point that I could actually walk down the hallway of the school and be aware of myself in that context, actually feel my feet on the floor. And I thought, something's really changed here, something's shifted. But that was an opportunity for me to begin to share yoga with my colleagues and stress reduction classes with the students. And at one point I just found that both teaching school and teaching yoga were so engrossing that I needed to choose. I couldn't really do both of them fully. So now I have my own studio in Williamstown, Massachusetts, where I've been for about 10 years now. And I just find that people are really confused a lot. There's so much information out there, but it's all mixed together. People want to meditate, they want to do yoga, but it's not always clear what is a good way to practice. And when this invitation to be part of this group, rotating each week to share these practices, it just felt like a really good thing. Just felt like a really wonderful occasion to share some of what I've been able to experience. So.
Thanks. Eve.
I'm Eve Pierce, and my initial encounter with a meditative mind, I guess, was when I was too young and naive to know what I was looking at. I was living in India and visiting in Nepal, and in the early 1960s, and there were many, many Tibetan refugees who had followed the Dalai Lama from Tibet into exile in India, and they lived in these appalling conditions and had suffered enormously, leaving their homes and their families and surviving these treks over the mountains. And they were working, on road crews, carrying baskets of stones around, but they were all, well, I remember that all of them, maybe not all of them, but I remember it this way, that they were singing and smiling. And I just could not understand how this could possibly be. So that was the beginning of a very long, slow inquiry. And somewhere along the way, I happened into the Rochester Zen Center in Rochester, New York. And it kind of took the feeling of what was going on there, and I thought maybe that was where I would find the answer to this long-held question of why were those people so happy. And so I started my formal training and practice there over 30 years ago. And I have practiced at other places and with other teachers, some since then, and kind of hold the door open for a meditation group that meets weekly at my farm and has been for 22 years now. I always have to ask Tasha, of which John and Tasha were very early members. So, but when John asked me to teach, I mean, this is like something, I make tapestries, so what I do doesn't even come close to teaching anything. And when John first asked me if I would be part of this group, I was very resistant, to say the least. But then I thought about the enormous benefit that my practice has been to me in my life. And mostly I thought about my teachers and their devotion and their conviction and their patience, and how much they have encouraged me and guided me over the years. And so I sort of felt that not as they would, but at least in honor of what they have given me, that I would like to return whatever little bit I could to the community. So I agreed to do this. But so there was a lot of trepidation to start with, but I have to say, I just love going to these meetings on Tuesday nights because all these people came, all these people that keep coming back over and over again. It's been weeks now. And their curiosity and their perseverance are really inspiring. And I just love being with them. I wouldn't miss a Tuesday unless something really dire was happening.
Thanks.
So I'm very, very glad for this opportunity.
Yeah, just hearing you guys again reminds me of our first meetings back in May when we talked about doing this class, and I remember just what a pleasure it was to be in the room with you guys. And I feel like that pleasure has somehow extended into the meditation classes themselves, that there's really a sense of lightheartedness and just good feeling at the end of each Tuesday sitting. So I was hoping that we could talk about meditation itself, you know, what that process has been like. And Tash, I was really glad that you said that you did the retreats, and often during the retreat, we weren't sure that you were having a good time. Because for me, certainly, meditation has sometimes, I would put it right up there with parenting as one of the hardest things that I do. And also both really rewarding things, parenting and meditation. And but I feel like it's such an intimate process, and we see ourselves so clearly when we quiet and sit there, and you see what comes up, and sometimes it's not always pretty what comes up, and that's the challenge. But yeah, I guess I'd love to hear different people's thoughts about sort of how you would define meditation for somebody who's never done it.
Well, I'll start. I won't define meditation, but I had some thoughts this morning. I knew we were going to do this show, and I was in a cemetery visiting a grave, and I looked up, and there was this horse, and this horse was going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and I thought, well, he must be calling me. I better go over and see what he wants. And so I walked over, and I was looking, and his fence was completely broken. There was a huge opening, but he had this pattern of mind, this habit pattern, and he was just going back. He couldn't take the freedom that was available to him. And so I was thinking about how that, for me, is a metaphor for what meditation gives me. It's very hard to sit on the cushion. I don't even know why it's hard. It's so enlightening. Today I was sitting on the cushion, for instance, and I had a runny nose, and I was starting to sneeze, and I thought, I don't have to do that. And you know, I didn't have to. My nose still ran, but I didn't have to keep sneezing. The mind is so extraordinarily powerful, and somehow you tap into that power when you practice. Yeah, that's what I have to say right now. So I don't know, what is meditation?
That's sort of an endless question.
I think it's difficult to speak about it because the parts of the mind that we use or that we tap into when we are meditating are ones that aren't necessarily attached to concepts. And in order to describe things that are non-conceptual with words, it becomes very difficult. And so I think one of the problems that's before us at the moment is trying to describe something that's indescribable. And because of that, I think that meditation is much more important to consider actually doing it rather than thinking about it or learning about it, because that's really the only way to experience it, is to actually do it.
In my tradition, we do it and we study it. That in my particular tradition, which comes from Tibet, we are interested in unraveling the mystery of why, like the horse, we can't break our habitual patterns. And studying is important because things that are quite obvious are lost to us when our minds are busy. But if it gets pointed out to us in study, we can recognize it when it happens.
And to that end, there is a great deal of scientific inquiry going on right now regarding meditation and the mind in general, and we have a lot more tools that we never had. And so a lot of that is coming out, and that's something that's been very exciting to me as well as a Westerner to see, wow, this is what happens, this is what the brain does when we're meditating.
A lot of times people will come into the studio and they'll say, I can't meditate at all. And I'll say, well, oh, so have you tried? And they'll say, yes, I've tried, and I try to make my mind stop, and I try to make myself stop thinking, and I can't do it. And I say, oh, so you think that meditation means you're supposed to make yourself stop thinking? And they say, yes, isn't that what meditation is? That's when you make yourself stop thinking. And I said, that might not work so well, because it's like, my teacher will be like, okay, well, so if you take all your thoughts and you like stuff them in a box and you screw the lid down, then what happens is those thoughts just keep banging around more, and it's just actually counterproductive. And people will feel that not only are their thoughts drowning, or overwhelming, but they've even failed at this attempt to make the thoughts stop. And then they say, I can't meditate. But so for me, meditation has been a lot about undoing my idea about what's supposed to be happening while I'm sitting on my cushion. And a lot of meditation, and I think we all teach in this way in different ways, but there's a way in which it's a process of coming back to some home base, some anchor, some steady place, but that's actually not the goal of the practice. And so for me, it's been a process of undoing even the effort of coming back and resting with my home base, with my anchor. And it's sort of an increase in allowing what is there to come forth, including my perceptions and thoughts even about my life, and that I get to have what comes forward into my experience that allows me to understand my life more. And it's a still ongoing process. So, yeah.
Anything you want to add, Eve?
Well, I think of it as a technique, and one that allows your mind to settle with time. I mean, certainly all the stories and expressions here are pretty familiar. So when I say in time, I mean lots of time, although maybe that's not universally true, but it's pretty widely true, I think. So it's the mind settling, but it's also a matter of the heart becoming calm and rested and gentle and open. And my sense is that that this is those are beautiful things in and of themselves, but that's not the final intention. That's not. It's a technique to take me someplace further, which might be like the space in the fence that the horse didn't see. It's a process, and as that process continues and the practice deepens, there's a kind of awareness that opens up, and then you start getting to the place Randy said was difficult to speak about, and it's in some sense kind of impossible to speak about, but there's a way that awareness can bring you to a kind of understanding of the perfection of existence. Those are the inadequate words that I would use. It's so that meditation is not an end in itself, but it's a vehicle, and it's a very, very powerful vehicle, and it has both joys and frustrations of its own. But the real intention is to carry us someplace further through that opening in the fence that we tend to not notice is there and available to us.
Yeah, I'm really glad you spoke of meditation not being the goal. It's a practice, and it's like you said, a tool. And it's easy sometimes to, I know I've used meditation at times as a retreat, some challenging aspect of my day, and then I'll think, oh, I can't wait to get to my cushion and sort of calm down about this. And the fact is that cushion only really gives us what we bring to it, which is a chance to be with ourselves and the frustration or whatever it was that came up, or whatever else arises. And there's a lot of talk, I think, about being present, but meditation is certainly a practice at helping us become present in the moment. It's a tool to help us move more into synchronicity with the moment, that our whole being starts to feel like a moment by moment unfolding when we can allow ourselves to rest there. So, as you so aptly said, we could talk about this till we're blue in the face, but you wouldn't really be able to convey much of an experience. We thought, as boring as a video presentation of meditation might be, that we might actually try to do a little meditation. And we invite you to sit with us as we do that. And so what we need to do is sort of explain, though, just the basic technique. Maggie, do you want to do that part?
I can be boring. I'm going to give you basic meditation instruction. At the end of my speaking, I will ring the gong once, and let's see what you can do. And we'll sit for 4 or 5 minutes, and then I'll ring the gong again.
Maybe 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Just we'll keep it brief, yeah.
Okay. If you're sitting in a chair, the first thing you might want to do is to move forward a bit so that your back is freed up. You want to keep your back straight and your shoulders and head upright, almost as if there were a string at the top of your head gently tugging you in that direction. Your feet could be close together, and you can do with your hands what you choose. You can put them on your knees. You can hold them in a posture you might have seen, or you can just let them do what they want to do. Once you have established that seat, your eyes could be downward, not closed, but a soft focus not trying to identify what you're looking at. And then you become aware of your breathing. Just note that you are breathing in and out, in and out. About a third of your awareness could be on the breath, and the rest of it could be aware of the room you're in and the space around you. Thoughts will come up. When they do, you can simply note to yourself that you're thinking and bring your 30% attention back to your breathing. That's it.
Thanks, Maggie. So if this process of meditation is intriguing to you, I suggest you pay a visit to the Bennington Free Library on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. We meet just for an hour. It's a drop-in class, so there's no need to make every one, and there's a suggested contribution of $1 to cover the cost of the room, and any extra money has been going to the kitchen cupboard, which we've actually raised some money for them, which is an extra gift. And take advantage. It's if you haven't tried it, it's worth a try. Any other thoughts before we close?
I'm so relaxed now.
I hope people come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.